All right, so we are being asked to graph the following linear relations using the slope and the y-intercept. Let's just have a bit of a refresher. Remember that the equation of a line is in the form y equals mx, hopefully you can see the difference in those colors, plus b. So m is my slope, and b is my y-intercept. So to graph a line using the slope and the y-intercept, I'm kind of working backwards from the logic where we found our slope and y-intercept on the graph. I know that my line is going to go through the y-intercept along the y-axis, and I know that my rise and my run are going to give me the slope. So my slope is equal to rise over run, and my y-intercept is where it goes through the y-axis. So in this case, my rise and my run and my slope is 4 over 5. So that means this is my rise and this is my run. I'm going to start at the y-intercept. In this case, I don't have anything being added here, so that means my y-intercept is 0. If there's nothing there, it's 0. So I'm going to start here at 0. And then my rise is 4. That means I'm going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pause. And then my run is 5. So I'm going to go, you always run to the right. So I'm going to go to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I'm going to make the next point. And then I can connect the dots. Alternatively, instead of rising up and running right, I could have gone down and left. So instead, I could have gone down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I could have gone left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, it's part of the same line. So if your slope is positive, you can go up right, or you can go down left because they're both opposite, so it's still going to give me a positive number, a positive slope. So I'm going to connect these dots, but really, even if I just had these two, I could have connected the dots. That would have been enough for my line. And I'm going to put arrows on both sides. I used a ruler and arrows on both sides. Right, next example. Y equals 1 minus 3x. So I first need to start by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So that's my first step. Identify the slope and y-intercept. So I know my slope in this case. My slope is whatever the coefficient of x is. Notice how here they're actually in opposite order. It's not y equals mx plus b. It's y equals b plus mx. I purposely did that just to show you not to get thrown off. So here, my slope is actually this number here, the -3. And if I wanted to say what the rise and run are, well, here there's no denominator. So remember, every whole number has a denominator of 1. So that means my rise is -3 and my run is 1. The b, the y-intercept in this case, is the number here, and that's a 1. It's positive because there's nothing in front of it. There's no negative sign, so that means it's a positive value. Step 2 is to graph or plot. So I'm going to start with the y-intercept. I'm going to graph it, and it goes at 1. So I plotted my y-intercept, and then step 3, use the rise and the run to plot the next point. So my rise is -3. So that means instead of rising up, I'm actually going to go down. The negative makes it opposite. So instead of going up, I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3. My run is 1. It's positive, so that's going to be to the right. Step 4 is you can repeat. Even if I just have 2 dots, that's enough to make my line. But if I repeat it, it makes my line more accurate because there's more points for me to go through. So there's less of a chance of me making a mistake with my ruler and not putting it down properly. So from this line now, or from this coordinate now, I'm going to rise -3. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go 1 to the right. I'm going to run 1 to the right. And then I'm going to connect the dots. Alternatively, as in the other example, instead of going down 3, 1 to the right, I could have gone up 3, 1 to the left. So you could always do the opposite. I could have gone up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 to the left. I could have done that instead. And you can see it's still part of the same line. So I'm going to connect the dots with a ruler and draw arrows on both sides. Last example, y equals x plus 5. So step 1 was to identify the slope and the y-intercept. In this case, my slope, so remember I'm looking at the y equals mx plus b form. So in this case, my slope is the value in front of x. There's nothing in front of x, so the number that's actually there is a 1. I just don't write it. So my slope is actually 1. And to say the rise and run, well, remember, like I said in the previous example, if there's no denominator for a whole number, the denominator is always 1. So in this case, my rise is 1, and my run is also 1. Those are my rise and run, and my y-intercept is 5. So I'm going to start. Step 2, I'm going to graph or plot my y-intercept, b. So I'm going to graph it right here on the y-axis. And then I'm going to do my rise and run. So positive and positive, so up and right. Up 1, right 1. Rise 1, run 1. Rise 1 up, run 1 to the right. So it's always this pattern of if the slope is positive, you're going up and to the right. And that's going to give me, or I could have gone down and to the left, down and to the left. That could have given me my points too. I'm going to connect the dots. And put arrows. And that's it.